Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of Frail Conversations. And as you've seen from the title, we're going to be talking about discipline. I feel like this is going to seem crazy. I feel like at some point I talked about discipline before, but, and I know I don't repeat myself, but at the same token, I feel like I haven't had a conversation, a Frail Conversations about discipline. And even if I did, what I'm about to talk about today probably ain't what I was going to talk about then, because what I'm thinking about today, I know I wasn't thinking about then. So it's still going to be a different episode. I'm just giving y'all the disclaimer that I might have already done an episode on discipline, just not what we're talking about today. So as you're seeing from the title, today we're going to be talking about discipline. Um, this is a fitting title and a fitting circumstance, from where I am, especially coming back off of the season 8 break and in between and getting back in the rhythm. It's gonna take me some discipline to get back into the rhythm of everything. But I wanted to talk about discipline because I was talking to a homie and he was asking me, he was like, yo, bro, he was like, yo, how do you stay disciplined with the shit that you're doing? Like, because I get overwhelmed a lot and then I need breaks. And then I realize that discipline can be a gift and a curse. It's not a good thing all the time. You feel me? A lot of people think that it is, but it's also not a bad thing either. It's just a thing. And the moment we learn to see it as a thing and not necessarily see it as a good thing or a bad thing or something we should be rewarded for, something we should be punished if we don't do, if we stop seeing it like that, it's easier to do. Right. So I'm letting them know, bro, discipline is a choice. You either do it or you don't. It ain't no, I gotta wake up in the morning, be strong. I gotta draw into a pool deep within my soul to make me, hop up out of bed and turn my swag on. No, my nigga, you just hop up out your bed and turn your swag on. Shout out to Soldier for being one of the first to ever do it, first to ever do everything. But um, it's funny because his receipts was checking out too when they was saying this shit. Like, yo, he was really the first. But oddly enough, discipline is a choice, which means that it's also a power in a sense, and you have power over that. You just got to make sure that you tap into the control, right? So as I was saying, getting back into the swing of this, like it was hard. The first episode recording that shit was like, make sure you stay within the box. Make sure you got something to talk about, mind everywhere and shit. And this is only the second episode of recording that's, in the motion. So it's like overcoming the inertia, getting back in those things. All of those things tied to discipline. But again, discipline is a choice. So as I'm explaining it to him, it's like I don't have any like magnanimous tip on how to stay disciplined other than do it. Nike's good for it. They say just do it. But I know when I talk to a lot of people about it, they're saying, well, it's not that easy. And I used to be like, it is, man. You just got to have motive. You just got to do this. But then now I've reached a new point in my life and in my essence as where I'm saying, I'm gonna start saying that I'm not a new point in my life, a new point in my essence, because sometimes shit just don't be a point in life. It be something that lasts forever. But I'm at a new point in my essence where I'm not gonna try to reassure you. I just give you the advice that it can be done, but I'm not gonna reassure you that you can do it. So when given this, I can't give you any filler or fluff anymore about what discipline is going to be and what it takes to have it and why it's easy to turn on, easy to turn off. Because the thing about discipline is we're always disciplined. We're disciplined at every moment of our life, but we just don't know that we're being disciplined because we have connected discipline largely to punishment for the most part. And then in connecting it to punishment, we also connect it to reward. We will only be disciplined if we get something out of it. And that is the one thing that tells people, like, so when I'm, giving the gems and telling people, yo, how I stay disciplined no matter what, I don't give myself a reward for the shit. Like this is like I've never been given rewards for doing what I was supposed to do. That's discipline. I'm gonna dive down into what I mean by that after we come back, but that's discipline. But as long as you feel entitled to a reward every time you discipline yourself, you're never going to be successful in life, especially if the reward that you're looking for is out of the vanity of people. Like if you go to the gym so somebody can say, hey, you look good now, you're not going to feel confident enough for at least 12 weeks. Because it's the 4x4x4 rule. The first 4 weeks, you see the results. Second 4 weeks, close friends and family see the results. And then by the fourth week, by the fourth set, you have everybody that can see you that knows you're not. They can start to identify it. It takes 12 weeks for the world to see your change physically. A lot of people don't have the discipline to get through that because they want that reward. I want my summer body. I want people to look at me and say this. And then you have to factor in how far or long are you? So with these 12 weeks change, are you still going to need 3, 4, 5 more months or a year to actually get the body that you want? And do you have the discipline to weather that? You know what I mean? For a lot of people, it's I do it to to whether so I can get the achievement. I mean, the reward from people. Oh, you did good. You didn't applause. Then what do you do when the applause stops? Because people stop giving a fuck after you achieve the goal. They don't care no more. You feel me? And this is gonna segue into a little bit of entrepreneurship that I'm gonna talk about too. But before I dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not this episode, but the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And you know the vibes. That's that for this and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into So Frail Conversations, the art of discipline. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. And I like how I ended that and called this the art of discipline because I feel like it's really gonna encapsulate everything that I've been talking about. And I want to talk about this directly for my brothers because when it comes to us, like that's one of the things that they say we lack a lot. Like, yo, you got to be disciplined, or this, that, third. Here's the issue. It's not that we have to be disciplined. We have to channel our discipline into something else. Everybody's disciplined at all times. Everybody is disciplined at all times. It's what you're disciplined with. See, people think discipline, like I said, because we tie it to punishment, because we tie it to routine, we tie it to structure, we tie it to so many different things that people hate it, right? When we look at discipline, we look at working out. When we look at discipline, we look at schedules. When we look at discipline, we look at order, we look at structure, we look at different things like that. Yeah, and people think that's what discipline is. It's not. That's structure, that's order, that's whatever else I listed in that. Those are those things. Discipline is something totally different. Those things are just byproducts or they're extensions to help discipline stay firm. They're not discipline themselves. And that's where a lot of people fuck up because discipline is the discipline is simply the continual choice. No, the continual choice to make a decision about a specific thing. Right? That's discipline. To be disciplined is to continually choose to do the same thing over and over again. Brushing your teeth in the morning, that's discipline. Like, and these are the things that get me because it's like when people be like, yo, it takes discipline to be, it don't. It don't like, and it does take discipline, don't get me wrong, but discipline isn't some kind of strict, stringent thing. It's not. Discipline is to consistently choose to decide on a specific choice. That's what I'm going to say. Discipline is to continually decide on making a specific choice. I'm going to do an episode probably next week or the week after on options, choices, and decisions. I think I talked about choices and options before, But I never added the decision component to it because that's important. But it ties into this. Your discipline is your ability to make a decision to continually or consistently, however you want to look at it. But I want to say continually make a decision based off of a specific choice, right? So, like I said, brushing your teeth is discipline. Brushing your teeth in the morning is discipline. It's something that you're going to do. You're going to continually decide to do this no matter what. You brush your teeth in the morning when you're sick. You brush your teeth in the morning when you're tired. You brush your teeth in the morning where no matter what the situation is, that's what you do. You don't have a second thought about it. You don't have to hype yourself up. You don't have to motivate yourself. Oh, I just brushed my teeth the last 372 days. Oh, do I really got to do it today? You don't think about no shit like that. You just do the shit. That's discipline. That's discipline. We're going to apply it to a bigger scale, my brothers, because they make it seem as if we're not disciplined. They make it seem as if, we're just out here doing shit. Some of us are, but then some of us are disciplined, and some of us have looked at discipline as a bigger thing than what it is, and it overwhelms us and fucks with our mental health. Discipline is not that difficult. When you realize how disciplined you are towards negative shit, you realize how disciplined you can be towards positive shit. That's the issue right there. It's not whether or not, and that's one, it ties into the reward too. We're rewarded a lot for being disciplined with good shit. We're punished for being disciplined with bad shit, right? But we're disciplined. We're missing the point that we're disciplined. So when we look at discipline as, oh, I gotta punish you. You feel me? For some of us, our discipline was getting beat with a belt. So some of us hate being chastised because we associate that to discipline. It's not the same shit. That was the whooping. You feel what I'm saying? Some of us had to do things like push-ups, run, and do all kind of other shit. That's some shit ain't discipline, right? The extra layers of what we put on discipline are not necessarily discipline, and that's what discourages people. Like you hear about the Mamba mentality. Kobe Bryant was disciplined. He was disciplined to continually decide to make the choice to operate at a high level at all times. So the discipline part is not the conditional part. The ability and the capacity to make a decision, to continually make the same decision on a specific thing, that's the discipline. Now, what we apply that to, that's where the confusion comes in, because a lot of people think I'm going to continually decide to, work out. You have to think about that. You know why? Because you're not disciplined for it. Discipline doesn't mean that you're like I said, motivator. It's like, I have continually done this and decided to do this. That decision is not something I need to make. I don't have to hype myself up. And that's where a lot of people think that's where the motivation overshadows the discipline. It's like, oh, I gotta wake up in the morning and tell myself that you don't have to tell yourself to do shit. You gotta do it. Tying it back to the brushing your teeth metaphor, an example. You're brushing your teeth every single day. You've been doing that since you were a kid. Your discipline can't be broken in that regard. Like real shit, you can't break the discipline in that. So much so that if you go a day or two without brushing your teeth or whatever, even if you go to, matter of fact, if you are a real consistent teeth brusher and you brush your whole mouth and shit, like if you made it past 10 o'clock and you ain't brushed your teeth yet, you know something's wrong. That's when it changes the scope. That's what discipline really is. Discipline gets you into the point where you have continually decided to do something so much it's in your unconscious mind, and not doing it becomes problematic. It's not the problem of getting over the inertia to do it. It's when you get to a point where not doing it causes you a problem. That's connected to this podcast because in coming back, this is what I had to overcome. And it's like in taking the break, this is also what I had to overcome. And I'm saying this to my brothers, and I'm using this as an example because a lot of times we talk about the burnout. We're disciplined to burn out. We're disciplined to continually push ourselves. This is how I know discipline isn't something that we have to work hard to do. We just have to learn how to channel it in the right ways, because a lot of us will push ourselves continually without a break. That's discipline. You're continually deciding to make a specific choice. We will continually decide to make the choice to push our mental limits, to push our physical limits, to push, to push, to push, to push, to push, never to rest. And so when you're looking at a man who's like, oh, it's ambition, it's discipline. Those things are decorated. Like it's almost like uh, army veteran who, after certain years doing certain tours, like their little patch gets decorated with a whole bunch of shit, right? But all of it came from the same root. They was in the army and they continued to do certain shit. That's the discipline. When we think about being disciplined in the army, first thing they talk about is you run, you do push-ups, you do sit-ups. And a lot of people think of it as, oh, it's the work, it's the hard work. No, they're teaching you discipline in regards to continually making a decision to do the same thing, to make the same choice, continually deciding on a specific choice over and over again. Every day is non-negotiable. 5 o'clock, you're gonna get up and you're gonna run in the military. You're gonna run, do your push-ups. They call it PT. The discipline part is making the choice to do PT. The eclipsing part is always the task. Because everybody looks at the end goal. When we plan goals, the reason why it's hard to be disciplined, because when we plan goals, we only plan for the end result. We plan for the destination, not the journey. Right? I did it myself. And it's not until you actually partake in the journey that you realize that the destination is not what you should have been working for. It should have been working for the middle pieces in between of each journey so you know what to collect along the way. Because you end up driving too far when you focus on the destination. You end up missing vital pieces and have to drive backwards when you focus on the destination. But when you focus on the journey, everything is, I can use this. I can possibly use this. I can't use this because you're paying attention to the points in the middle. This ties to discipline because as men, I mention this frequently when I talk about respect, how respect is to us, what love is to women. When our respect has to be earned because it's not default, like literally sit with this for a second. Men, all of us, especially as black men, but as men, our respect is connected to what we have done in this world. And everybody asks why we don't take our foot off the gas. And then when we fast forward 10 years later, not even 10, when we fast forward to the end of our lives, closely to the end of our lives, they're like, why do women die 10 years later than women? Like, why do men die 10 years earlier than women? What do you mean, why? That 10-year, that shortened time frame is because we're gaining respect, and a lot of people don't get it. And the discipline we have to get respect, again, continually making the decision, making the same decision over and over again. That's what discipline is. We have to continually decide to do that. How do you decide to make the same decision when this right here that you're doing is going to predicate whether you'll be respected or not? So when I tell people emasculation is the ask emasculation is when you take away a man's ability to analyze and deconstruct his world. We're already emasculated when, as kids, we're pushed into a workforce. We're not pushed into entrepreneurship. We're not pushed into business owner. We're not pushing any of that. We're pushed into entrepreneurs, and we become disciplined being that. And that's the cage that we don't like to be in. When they talk about, I mentioned this in Soul for 3. When they talk about protection and provision, they like why the black men won't protect the black women, all this shit. This right here is gonna be, if the sisters are listening, y'all know this Soul for a conversation, but if y'all listening, this is gonna be why. You feel me? In context, it's not the exact, it's multiple layers to the shit. You feel what I'm saying? But they're asking why we don't, you can only protect and provide for what you find value in. I mentioned this in Soul for 3. When it comes to us as men, we have to first find value in what it is that we're going to protect. No man will protect anything. He does not give a fuck about anything he does not find value in. We don't find value in women until we have a daughter, conditionally, programmed wise. Like this is the way the game is set up. We don't find that value until we have a daughter. And then that's when we step up to protect. Prior to that is, I don't love these hoes. I don't give a fuck about these bitches, all of that shit. So there's no value in what you're telling us to protect. So when you're telling them that black women are the most unprotected beings on this earth, it's because the protectors don't have value in them. The protectors don't find value in them because they're too busy being coerced into finding value in other things. The foreigners, the Caucasians, and the other shit. It's hard to find value in yourself. Now, Here's why it also becomes problematic, because the value comes into the respect. I can't find value in something that I know does not respect me. So therefore, I will not put in any effort to see the value in it. It's a double-edged sword that they got us with. This is why I say respect is to men what love is to women. We deny our women love and they deny us respect. A woman's only going to nurture and sustain what she loves. A man is only going to protect and provide for what he respects. And it all derives from the value that we see in each other. You feel what I'm saying? Our culture has been disciplined to behave against the normalcy of ourselves. So when you hear the people say shit to me, or not to me, but like when you hear shit, people say shit like, why are black women one entity and black men another entity? Because it was made this way. Integration brought us into their system and separated us. Ain't that ironic? Integration segregated us amongst each other. That's an amazing cold reality when you really think about it. We integrated and segregated amongst ourselves. We didn't integrate and remain intact. This is why we have no businesses now, and why you hear black people say shit, I can't do shit. I can't do business with black people. This is why you have, because when we integrated, we segregated amongst ourselves to be closer to the integration, the assimilation of them, right? So this is a form of discipline because our culture is disciplined to do this. So it doesn't matter how many years we go down, we can get reparations, we can get whatever the fuck we want. We don't fuck with each other like that. And it's in a discipline. We continually decide to make the same choice of not fucking with each other. But is it that we're really making a choice and not fucking with each other? Or are we just making the choice to follow the culture? This culture is fucked up. Our culture is painful. Our culture is nothing but pain, but it's disciplined into us. You feel me? When they tell you, this is about to get deep, when they tell you shit like alcoholism, obesity, certain diseases that they say are hereditary, they're not hereditary. They're not. They're habitual because it is discipline within the familial structure to do that. So disciplined that it's hard to break. Discipline is hard to break. Like, I know it's hard to start, but it's also hard to break too, tying it back to the brushing your teeth metaphor. You feel me? If you go a day and a half, if you've been a avid teeth brusher, you go a day and a half, the fuck? You know something's wrong with your mouth. On the other side of that, you do have motherfuckers who don't brush their teeth regularly and shit, and they will really think that nothing's wrong with their mouth. They can't smell it because they gotten so used to the thing. But the point that I'm making with that is like, with discipline, it's a choice. So it's hard to deviate from what you're disciplined to. This is why they tell you, stop trying to be motivated and be disciplined or be consistent. But discipline, stop trying to be motivated, because you're not going to be motivated all the time. But when it's non-negotiable that you're going to do it, it doesn't matter. Inflate with Inflation community, we meet up every Friday, every day, every from Sunday through Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30, roughly about, and we break down the charts. It's discipline to do that. Now, is the consistency? Not exactly, because I can say I missed some days. I missed some days. Since I started in June, will be a full year Juneteenth. But so since I started in June, so we've been at it 6 months. I missed a couple days, but it's not been anything too crazy. But it's because every day I show up at this time. I don't think about it. It's discipline. Feel me? Now, what I'm going to talk about, where I'm going to talk about, if I allow those things to mask the discipline, then I'll lose it. Like, there's moments in our lives and shit where the discipline is there, but we allow a detail to disrupt the discipline. Because it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. All you got to do is show up. What you don't know how to do will reveal itself. You feel me? But we get so caught up in, because we don't know what we don't know that we can stay consistent with what we're doing. Because everybody says shit like, oh, well, you can't see the future, but you can create it. This is a quick tangent, but It's really not a tangent because it ties to the discipline. I don't, I was just talking the other day about this. I was saying how I'm not shocked when things come into my life anymore. I'm not surprised. I don't feel blessed. I don't feel like it's favor. I feel like it's compensation. I feel like it's cause and effect now. And I'm basing that. Y'all have heard the 12 universal laws, and I use them for real. The 22 paths of the tree of life, I use it for real. Tarot, numerology, astrology, I use it for real. I always tell people you don't believe in these things, you use them. They're resources, they're tools. You feel me? They're like screwdrivers, hammers, and like you use them. So in using these, I no longer worry about the future because I know I'm creating it. And I know this is gonna happen. And I don't know if it's because I'm an entrepreneur and become an entrepreneur. I don't know if it's just been my predisposition for a long time. But I do know that in the grand scheme of it all, when things happen, it's cause and effect for me now. I'm not shocked. I'm not this because it's discipline. I continually did a specific action, and this action, input and output wise, is supposed to give me this result. I got that result based off of what I did. It wasn't a shock. And I think that's one of the things that gets a lot of people. You feel me? Because when you don't continually achieve and accomplish shit, like you have to be a continual like achiever and accomplisher for it to make sense so you to see it. And I want to say it was so Frail too. Definitely so Frail too, or so I don't know. But I was talking about alchemical. It could have been one of these episodes, but I was talking about alchemical moments. You feel me? You can have an alchemical moment and not be an alchemist, but an alchemist will always produce an alchemical moment. And because a lot of people produce an alchemical moment, they think they're alchemists, but they can't duplicate the process. I talk about it also in beginner's luck and veterans experience and all the other good shit. But with this, the point that I want to make heavily with this to drive this home is that a lot of people don't do the shit they need to do in life because they can't see the reward and they can't see the outcome. Not realizing that it's the plot twist. The reason why you envision it and you have the idea, the discipline to continually do specific actions, to continually decide to make a specific choice or specific action will lead to a specific result. It's just the way the universe works. It's not mysticism. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not religious. It's not any of this shit. It's simple input and output, cause and effect. The law of compensation. You're going to be rewarded for or punished for what you put in. You feel me? So you got to make sure you put the right tools, resources in to get a specific result. You feel me? And be able to deal with everything that comes with that. You feel what I'm saying? So when I'm talking about like the future shit, like if I make a trade and when I enter a trade and it goes to where I said it was gonna go to, I'm not shocked. When it goes against me, sometimes I'm not shocked either because a lot of times I rationalize what was happening. I'd be like, yo, this gotta go up here. But because I don't know right now, I'm gonna take this chance and then it'll eventually go again. So the point that I'm making is the discipline to be able to make a specific choice over and over again gives me a vision that allows me to see the future. And seeing the future, I've learned, is not some mystical shit. See, the thing about prophecy or being an oracle, what they never tell you is that these people are geniuses. These people are tapped in. These people are well versed in what it is that they're talking about. They're not just somebody, and that's where we get fucked up within our cultural society. Now we think a prophet or something like that, just a random motherfucker ordained by a deity to say, hey, no, these people are very well experienced people. These people have understanding. These people have the information and insight about the past, the current circumstance, and they can predict what the future is going to be. You don't need rocket science to do this. You feel what I'm saying? When I make calls and I make plays about certain shit, not just trading and investing, but when I'm talking about shit about real world shit, right? And people are like, yo, you said that 2, 3 years ago. How? It was right there written that this was gonna happen. See, when you're watching the world in real time, you can't watch it in real time. You have to watch it from the past, you have to watch it from the future while you're in the present. And when we're looking at how shit like is gonna play out, it's like, yo, if you just look at what happened. When I told people all of the shit that was gonna happen with COVID and the vaccine and all this other shit, and how the 2 years was gonna play out after it happened and everything, everybody's like, you think you know? No, it wasn't even about prophecy or even like it was really they repeated the exact same shit with the 1918 Spanish flu. Literally to the T, they did the exact same shit. So a lot of the shit that I was telling y'all was just, hey yo, this is what they already did. So I feel like this is what they're gonna do. And I haven't been wrong. You know why? Because they repeat themselves, because it's discipline. They are very disciplined. They don't give a fuck who's damaged, or when they know how the future can be worked out by a certain event, they work that event. They don't care. They don't care about none of the other shit. They don't care about the distractions. They don't care about anything. They adjust as things come, but they make sure they set the plan and they're disciplined to carry the whole motherfucker out. That's how rituals work. Rituals cannot work without discipline because you have to consistently do something. When I tell people, especially, this so for a conversation, but the women, I talk to women about like, moon work and tarot and all of this other shit. And they're like, oh, it's a full moon. I'm going to set my intentions for this. It doesn't matter if you don't have the discipline to do what those intentions are supposed to lead you to. Intentions precede action. So you just setting intentions, but you don't do the action in between to be disciplined enough to make that reality come. It's not going to come. My entire world changed. My whole life has changed since I understood that the future is created. It doesn't just happen. Every action you do creates your future. That's why we have the past. We have the past so we can go back and review. It was this specific action that led to these series of events. You feel me? And I get it because a lot of times we're low key self centered and we have a lot of ego involved, and we're not ego based, which means that we're not able to collectively collaborate with the people around us and shit. Everything has to be in a hierarchy. It doesn't have to be in a uniform circle. We have difficulty seeing the importance of somebody in our lives. We think we're at the top at all times and everybody else is beneath us. So the things that affect us or the things that happen to us are problematic pieces that just happen to us, not the catalyzation from an interaction between two people. You dig what I'm saying? That's derived from making a specific choice, to decide on a choice. This is why I want to talk about options, choices, and decisions, because decisions are the final piece. Decisions are all you. Choices, maybe somebody made this choice or whatever the case. Options ain't got shit to do with you. You're just picking what's available. Choices are when you have the wherewithal to do certain things, but the decision, that's a different level of power, mental power, spiritual power, because you're deciding. After you make a decision, that's it. Decision is the end. You feel me? Choice is not necessarily the end because you can make a choice and still go back on it. Say, damn, I knew I should have went with this, and now you're in your head. But once you make a decision, it's final. That's what it is. But like I said, it comes to the discipline. Now, the discipline to continually decide on a specific choice over and over again. Imagine what that does to you years down the line. I used to smoke. You feel me? I used to smoke. And every day I was making a decision that was creating a different reality. I was disciplined. A lot of times we look at, oh, this is an addiction because it's bad. No, it's discipline. It's discipline too. You're continually deciding to make a choice, whether you're conscious of it or not, whether you thinking you don't have control over yourself or whatever. Oh, you do. You do. And you're using that control over yourself to make this specific decision, not the decision that you need to be making or the decision that you feel you need to make. When people say, oh, I want to stop doing this, I want to stop doing this, they can't break the discipline that causes them to do it. That's the truth of the matter. Not only that, the consequences have not reached the point where it's dire. And because, like I said, because we're predicated and we're used to the consequences all the time, right? We're looking at the consequence and the reward. We don't. We're easily distracted and disciplined into other things that don't matter because it's always a consequence and a reward. And we see, is the consequence going to be that? We already know if the reward is there, it's good. We don't care if it's big or small. So much so, people will wait in line for free shit. Fuck your time. I want to like it's certain shit that we do. We'll drive across town to get 3 cent cheaper gas. Stupid shit. Like, you feel what I'm saying? But it's because of the discipline. Our discipline is to continue in this regard. Our discipline is to continually decide on a specific choice. And this specific choice is cheap or free. Fuck the time that I'm wasting. I've seen lines, fuck that. When the Popeyes chicken sandwich came out, was the chicken sandwich that good? And it also ties into the previous episode that we were just talking about temptation. Temptation. You feel what I'm saying? When you are tempted, it's because your curiosity meets the desire of something that you don't have. When you are disciplined into being tempted, you's a cold motherfucker. They gonna fuck you up. When you're disciplined, and now this ties into the world as a whole. America is a consumer society. We consume shit. How do you think that works? Two principles: discipline and motherfucking tation. The discipline and the temptation that has to collide in order for you to become, a consumer is potent, but it's really not that hard to do. They create the curiosity and the desire. The desire is created by marking up the prices. You can't afford this. I'm curious to know what it's like, but I can't afford it. Yes, I can. I'll figure it out. Now you're disciplined enough to do something, to make an active decision to, live above your means, go out on credit, do whatever it is but you're disciplined enough to do it. Which means this is gonna be crazy, but it means you're disciplined enough to stay in debt. Discipline is not always a bad thing. Discipline is not always a grandiose thing. Discipline is often a very subtle thing that it's been in the background playing for so long that it becomes normal. You don't even know what it is. But what you think about discipline is something that's so much worse. I say it all the time when I talk about horror movies and shit like that. It's like when they talk about movies that have like witch doctors, voodoo and shit like that, they make it so much worse than what it really is. So that way, when you hear somebody talk about it, your imagery can only go back to the negative or the darkest pieces of it. But when you understand voodoo is just how well you're connecting to the forces of nature in the world and using them within you and outside, it's like, oh, they made it worse than what it is. It would be evil when you're looking at it from a perspective of magic and darkness and all of this evil shit. But that's not what it is. They don't even give you the option to know that magic can be good. You know why? Because people are magical. And if people are magical, then I cannot put my magic on you. Because to be magical, magi, it's dope. Because they teach you to use your imagination, but don't teach you to practice magic. And magic, imagination, image, they all come from the same root word. Ain't that some shit? So it's like, is magic really bad? Imagine you're creating the image and likeness of a deity. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing to know because when you understand magi and magic and imagine and image and all of these things, they all tie into the same pool of words that mean the same thing. But that's a different story. That's a different story. The discipline to be able to do that is where the power comes in. So tying it back, I know that was, a little bit all over the place, but bringing it back in, as men, our discipline is largely tied to our habits. See, that's the thing. Our discipline precedes our habits. Discipline creates habit. Habit creates lifestyle. All of the shit right now that you do that you say is out of habit started with discipline. You were disciplined enough to make that choice. That you were disciplined enough to continually decide on that specific choice over and over and over again. This is why I think I just made a post the other day. I was like, yo, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. I heard it from somewhere, so I didn't make it a post that was mine. I put it in my stories and everything. But it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. People think it just happens. No, it takes 10 years of overnight success. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take 10 years, but the discipline that it takes to continually do the same thing over and over again with no reward. That's why a lot of people fail. Because people that are really disciplined, their reward is learning. The reward is to learn. You're always going to learn in a disciplinary state. You're supposed to. But they teach us that discipline is about how well we behave. I'm gonna give you in school, you get written up, you get discipline assignments, you get all of these. There's so much negative tied to discipline that we don't see that there's positive things of discipline. Continually, like when we got wrote up in schools for continually this doing a specific action, my write-ups were always the same. My write-ups were always the same. Whenever I got in trouble, the note said the same shit. He talks too much. He's disrupting class. He's talking. He's disrupting class. He's talking. He's disrupting. I was disciplined enough to run my fucking mouth. Hence why I got a podcast now. But anyway, nah, it's not why I got a podcast now. But there's certain things about you that you're disciplined to do. So do them. You've already disciplined yourself. And because we don't give ourselves enough credit for the small things, and we don't even look at discipline as small as it can be, that's what makes us lose the discipline. You feel what I'm saying? I know people who would say shit like, it's weird because like they'll eat a certain way and they've been eating that way all of their lives. And that food never gets old. But then it's like when you're trying to transition them into the plant-based lifestyle, it's like, yo, I had to eat the same thing all week. You're just now paying attention to that. You eat the same shit all week anyway. Do you not go to McDonald's and get a number 3 every morning? How does that not bother you? How does that not bother you? Because your discipline has not been tied to anything yet. The discipline to eat healthy has not been tied to anything. You've already been disciplined to eat bad. And it'd be okay. You actually have to think about some shit when you're creating the discipline to eat healthy. Because you have to continually decide to do this, which means your taste buds have to be rewritten. Now, we're about to dive into the deeper parts of discipline because this is where a lot of people are affected. But your taste buds are going to be different. Your palate starts to change. You start to your comfortability starts to change. Everything like that's one of the hardest parts about discipline. You have to continually decide to do something against what you're already doing. That's why discipline is so hard. Anybody can decide to do something that they're already doing. You feel what I'm saying? Or what's like public opinion, normal, like taking it back to the toothbrush thing. It's easy to brush your teeth in the morning. One, when you already do it, and two, when you know that you can't be out nowhere with bad breath. You feel me? That automatically puts it so there's no thought to it. You feel what I'm saying? It's kind of like that's the reward. But when you remove the idea of having a reward and a punishment, because even that, the reward and the punishment have to go hand in hand. So let's use a toothbrush metaphor. What's the reward for going out with your teeth brushed to wherever, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the reward for that? It's like, people will look at me, they'll be wanting to talk to me. I can, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna look at me, nobody's gonna say anything crazy to me. I'm not gonna be embarrassed. But what's the punishment for that? Embarrassment, people joking, people putting their hands over it. Like it's a whole ostracization that can go on if you don't brush your teeth and you're in the wrong place. And you feel that. So you have now been programmed and wired to the result for that particular thing. You do what I'm saying? That becomes problematic because, like I said, when you become disciplined to make a specific choice, when you become when you're disciplined, you're continually deciding to make a choice about something. When you start to get into the things that do destructive shit that quote unquote makes you feel good, like when I hear people say, "Yo, live a little," they tell me to live a little. They were like, "Yo, live a little. You so uptight." I'm not uptight. I'm disciplined. And I'm not disciplined for that bullshit. That's not good. That's not like, we all gonna die one day. Exactly. So they always talk about you only live once, but then the very shit that they tell you to do that's live a little is destructive shit that could kill you. How does that compute? How does that make sense? It's not being uptight. And that is a scapegoat for people who can't discipline themselves. They'll tell you, oh, you're uptight. You're this. I had a girlfriend tell me I was boring because I was trying to graduate. I was trying to graduate college. She's like, you're boring. I don't have time. I'm a science major. It ain't my fault. You're a general ed degree. You're a general education degree or whatever the case may be. Your courses are bullshit. No disrespect. You just want to get the degree so you can get the fuck out. I'm actually doing something with this motherfucker. So it takes me a little bit more. So I have to make decisions that are going to lead me to graduation. Discipline is the capacity to make a decision or to continually decide on something, a specific choice. My choice was to come to this college. My choice was to major in forensic biology. My choice is to graduate in 4 fucking years. I can't do that playing with you. I can't do that playing with nothing. And I couldn't, and I didn't. And I am where I am now. There's always going to be, I want to say this too to my brothers, because when you are disciplined the way you are, if you are disciplined, ain't no if. We're all disciplined. We're disciplined. We just don't channel it the right way. But when you channel your discipline into the right things, it's easy to live. But if you see discipline as such a major event in life that has to change your entire, like, no, you got to see it for what it is. It's continually making a choice to do the same thing. It's a decision. You feel what I'm saying? After 21 days, it becomes a habit. After 21 days, discipline becomes a habit. 66 days, it becomes a lifestyle. Can you be disciplined for 66 days at the same thing? Don't think about why you have to do it. Don't think about what you're going to get after you have to do it. Just, can you do it every day? The answer is yes. Because there's things in life that you do every single day right now. Every day, non-negotiable. You don't think about them, you just do them. Your alarm set, you don't sleep through it, you get the fuck up. That's discipline. You feel me? Take a shower first thing in the morning, that's discipline. You're deciding on a specific choice continually. You don't have to. You don't need to. But see, here's where it becomes a little bit more powerful too, because the universe honors discipline. As above, so below, as within, so without. What a lot of people don't know when I talk about manifestations, and you hear people talking about manifestations and alchemy, you hear me say it too. There's certain often shit that I leave out. Some shit motherfuckers leave out because they don't know about it. I leave it out purposely because certain shit I don't like talking about to people, because I don't want to feel like I'm trying to lead you into my lifestyle and do what I do. But at the same time, there's things that are non-negotiable in the lifestyle that I do. So with alchemy, with universal spirituality, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna tell you that this is why rituals are important. But I'm gonna tell you the underlying reason and the definite expression of a ritual. Rituals are rites. You repeat a certain thing, but rituals are for discipline. Hear me well. A ritual is for discipline. You can call it a ritual, a routine, a schedule. I don't care what synonym you want to put it to, but it's to give you discipline, which is a point to make you do or continually do the same action or decide on the same choice over and over and over again. The universe follows discipline to a T. When I tell people, if you want to, I'm gonna get to the point. JP Morgan has a quote. I think is it JP Morgan Chase? One of the motherfuckers. He's a banker. He said, millionaires use accountants, billionaires use astrology. Right? And a lot of people were, oh, he's playing. No, no, no. They use astrology in the patterns of the discipline of the stars. I'm not going to show this to the iwi for a while. The iwi cannot see this yet. Like, I need a lot more people in the iwi because I don't want to teach it to a few. And then like this has to this the charts move with the stars. Fibonacci sequence, all of these different, like, they move with the universe. One of the reasons, shameless plug, but one of the reasons why I don't use indicators and I'm able to do certain shit. Like, I got this thing that I teach my students only in the EWE that you can slide back 2 days and be on the daily on a trade for that day and use the trade for the day to set up for 2 days in advance. So when you are into, like, we pretty much are able to know where we are in the market at any time of the market we're in. Right now, the reason why I'm saying this and I'm tying it to the thinking about the universe is because the universe follows a specific pattern. I'm not even gonna say a pattern, but well, it makes its own pattern by following the discipline of a certain thing. Every 12 months or 13 months, however, but every 13 lunar cycles is a month. Well, every 13 lunar cycles creates a year, right? Every 3 months creates a season. You feel what I'm saying? The universe moves in discipline. Hey, bro, for real though, at some point we gotta stop talking to women about masculinity and start talking to each other about it. And I mean really talk to each other. Not as enablers and co-signers, but as men trying to reach the pinnacle of our essence. And that's what the So Frail series does. So Frail 1 is the definition. So Frail 2 is the acknowledgement. And So Frail 3 is the resolution. If you rock with the So Frail conversations, I can guarantee you will rock with the So Frail series of books. So visit IamJustSaying.com right now so you can add the series to your library. I promise you will never look at masculinity the same again, and you're going to stop wasting your time arguing with women about it. This is a conversation that men need to have between men, and it's time we start having this conversation now. And people are like, well, how do you manifest and how do you make this? How do you use the astrology? How do you use the numerology? How do you use these things? You find out what the times are, you see what the energy is, and you use it. Like you find out where you are, how this is affecting you and what it's going to drive you to, and you use it and you discipline yourself for that time pocket. The universe disciplines us naturally off of a clock that is 29 years. We have 3 cycles. Technically, if they took away the Gregorian calendars and the age, we would only be 3 years old. Our people are like would only classify as 3 years old. It wouldn't be like an actual age because we base the body off of 3 life cycles. Your first life cycle is from birth to 28, second is from 29 to 56, and third is from 56 to death. Or it's 56 to 120 if you live that long. Because there was a time when if we're left to our own devices eating the right shit, we can live up to 120 years. That's 4 cycles of, would it be a little bit over that, but that would be the 4 cycles of life. And then you have the 4 elements. It's powerful. It's powerful. But the stars are disciplined. The stars are going to discipline. The planets, everything is disciplined enough to continually decide on the same choice to do the same thing. So when we look at, let's say Easter, for example, when Easter hits, everybody I know, I talk to religious people and I ask them, why is Easter on a different day every year? What? It's not. It is, motherfucker. Do you just not pay attention? It's in April one month. It's in April one year. Some years it's in March. You feel me? It varies. I've had Easter on my birthday one time. You feel me? I've seen Easter in March. Like it's like, this ain't right. This ain't right. Why does it change? But then when you understand the actual discipline of the stars, it makes sense. Because the stars don't necessarily move according to 365 days. It's about 365 days. That's why they give the leap year and all of this shit. Because if they did, everything was supposed to be the same. It's supposed to fall on the same shit. But they skew it slightly, right? So when we look at Easter, Easter is always going to fall on the first Sunday after the full moon, after the spring equinox. So if we're looking at, and I'm using this to tie to discipline. So if we're looking at Easter. Easter literally happens every year. You start with Aries season. Once Aries season starts, which is what, March 21st, you got to wait for the first full moon. After that first full moon, then the first Sunday after that will be Easter. Will be the time for harvest. Will be the time for rebirth. Will be the time to plant shit. Because that is how the lunar, that isn't not the lunar, but that is how that celestial cycle runs. It's discipline. It's going to repeat the exact same, it's going to make the exact same decision continually. The exact same decision continually is going to be discipline. That doesn't change. The first full moon the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. Faithfully, that's when Easter starts. That's when Easter is supposed to be. But this is why the dates vary because that's not the discipline side. So people don't even feel energetically that we're doing this on the exact same day. Not the same day. We're doing this on the exact same moment celestially. But they think, oh, so what is Easter this year? I don't know. Check the calendar. This year Easter on this. This year Easter on that. Why? Because the universe honors discipline. Tying it back in. This is why the upheaval that you experience from birth up until you're 27, 28, like that time frame of your Saturn return, you go through it 3 times, at least 3. You don't even realize that your birth is a Saturn return. You're in the middle of a Saturn return as you're born. Then you get your actual return when it comes back to you. There's a moment of upheaval that you go through. There's a moment of ending. Your childhood is just ended at 28 years old. Then it goes on. You do it at 56. You're having pay attention to your familial structure. I happen to be fortunate enough to be able to gauge it that I was born during my mom's. I was I was born and my mom was impregnated during her Saturn return. So we share Saturn returns. And when I look at certain shit that happens in her life, upheaval wise, and certain shit that happened in my life at the same time, it was like, oh yeah, we definitely Saturn busted our asses. You feel me? Now we have different planets in our Saturn return, but Saturn definitely came back. Right? So I'm saying that to speak on the discipline. You feel me? And the subtleties of discipline and how grand even the universe honors discipline. It honors discipline. When we align with the discipline of the universe, we align with the discipline of ourselves, and that's how we can manifest things. So when I tell people you can use the stars, you can use astrology, all these different things, you can use them, but you have to use them with discipline. You have to continually make the decision to pick. You have to continually decide to make a specific decision over and over again. So if the stars tell you you have to experience this for the day, or the stars tell you that you're gonna experience this for the day, right? You gotta realize that what is set up for me to do that. If motherfuckers and this will get me if motherfuckers read the astrology for that morning and then they go live their day because oh, I'm reading my horoscope because Aries is gonna do this, and then by the end of the day they have read it and they have created a decision for themselves based off what they read. They're being controlled by their astrology. Now, if they now read their astrology at the end of the night and they've already lived their life and now they're picking back and say, hey, okay, I see why that happened today then they're using it as the tool and they're able to say, okay, when this happens, these things are aligning. I'm saying that because when people read these bits of information, they're not using them. When you actually take the time to understand a natal chart, we actually take the time to understand all of this shit, you realize, wow, it's not a hierarchy. I'm not Aries first or Aries more or this, I'm all of this together. It's the pot. These are the gears. These are the gears of my clock. And these are what make me tick. I do not need to put more energy in this than I do in that. Just because this is more prevalent here doesn't mean it's more prevalent that. And that's when we come into understanding the ecosystem versus the ecosystem. The ecosystem says, oh, I'm an Aries, so that's why I act like that. The ecosystem says, I have Aries energy in me, and this is how I use it. I have Saturn energy in me, and this is how I have to use it. You know what I'm saying? Now, it comes into the discipline. Because now when you know these placements of your charts and you know how these things move, and you're using them according to being disciplined, you're continually making a choice. Now, here's where discipline takes its next level because within everything in the world, we have duality. Discipline, notice that because we tie it to reward and punishment, doesn't mean it's tied to reward and punishment. Discipline is simply, hey, what you do continually is what we bring to reality. That's it, right? So when the choices that you do don't align with good shit ain't gonna happen to you. When the choices that you do don't align with bad shit ain't gonna happen to you. But the thing is, what do you define as good or bad? Because whatever you perceive as your input, your output is gonna match that. If you're doing something, even if you're doing something for the positive reward, but you're using a negative input to get it, it's still going to be negative. You might even get that reward, but you got to eat that. You got to eat what comes with that negative reward because of the input that had to go into it. A lot of people aren't disciplined to be positive. This ain't no positive vibes only type shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, oh, positive vibes only. No. A lot of people literally are not disciplined enough. They are not disciplined to be positive. They cannot continually decide on a positive choice in life. That's crazy when you really think about it. Everybody wants positive shit to come to themselves, right? But how is it that we're disciplined enough to continually decide to make the bad choice? That's a whole different level of insanity because you don't even know you're insane. Because it could be your culture, it could be your familial structure, it could be your upbringing, it could be a multitude of things that are making you feel this way. But what are you going to do about it? Are you really going to use discipline to the advantage that it is? And so, like I said, tying it back in, I want to speak to my brothers more. I want to get back to directing it toward my brothers because as men, as black men, we have to be disciplined. But we are under well, I think as men as a whole, but especially for us as black men, our discipline understanding is gone. We don't understand what discipline is. We think, like I said, we tie discipline to punishment and reward, and then we specifically punishment, and then we tie discipline solely to physical work or work in some way, shape, or form. Got to discipline my kids. I got to beat them. I got no. The purpose of disciplining your kids, this right here is about to take a turn. Disciplining your kids is to teach them the ability to strengthen their capacity to continually decide on a specific choice. I'm going to let that marinate before I start talking. As a parent, to teach your children discipline is to teach them the ability and skill set to continually make a decision on a specific choice. You can only teach them that by example. You can only teach them how to be disciplined by being disciplined and showing them what discipline is. But as parents, we call ourselves the disciplinarian. So we can be undisciplined, not be consistent in our decisions, not make solid decisions and decide on specific things. We can be out of it. And this is when it gets to, don't do what I say. Do what I say, not as I do. But discipline comes from action. So what you say don't matter. Only what you do matters because you're my cornerstone for discipline. That is the first level in disciplinary actions that you are going to teach a child. I don't give a fuck how much you beat them. I don't give a fuck how much the toys you take away. The discipline that you exhibit to them, the decisions that you continually make, right? The decisions that you the things you continually decide on is what shows them what discipline is. If my sisters are here, when you have multiple baby fathers, you're teaching a level of discipline to both your son and your daughter. My brothers, when you are just haberdashing, when you triple effing and you just having babies, like you're teaching your sons how to be disciplined with sex. You're teaching your daughters how to be disciplined with sex. You're teaching discipline without knowing it. You can beat them all day long. You can try to put them on birth control. You can do all of these other crazy things, but until you accept and understand that discipline is the capacity and the capability, the ability to continually decide on a specific choice, you're not teaching them anything because they watch how you decide on a specific choice. They watch the way you decide on a specific choice. People be saying, yo, you have an addictive nature. Nobody has an addictive nature. Everybody's disciplined. They just don't know how to use it because we don't define discipline on its simplest terms. We try to make it harder than what it has to be. So when our children watch us every day, don't smoke because smoking is bad. As you smoke, your discipline, you're you have the discipline of a smoker. And you are guiding me disciplinarily. That's not a word, but you're guiding me according to the discipline. What do you think is going to happen to me? It's just a matter of time because your discipline becomes my discipline. And this is how we end up having cycles that have to be broken within the culture. You feel what I'm saying? Because every cycle is predicated off of discipline that lasted X amount of years, X amount of centuries, X amount of decades, X amount of millennia. These things all tie into the discipline that we do or don't have. You feel what I mean? So when we look at the shit that our culture is developing and we're trying to teach our kids are only learning from discipline, right? The things that we habitually do, that's the discipline that our children learn from. So it becomes a crazy reality because it's a lot of people say parenting doesn't come with a manual. You feel me? And it does. I don't care what nobody tells me. Parenting comes with a manual, and the manual is the child. The child tells you as they're living their life, and you're trying to, understand them. You have to see the human in them and guide that human, right, into being disciplined with the gifts that they need to be disciplined with. So you have to teach them discipline by understanding them. What we try to do is, here's my discipline for you. We wonder why we rebel as teenagers and, you just unruly. You don't listen. I'm going to leave you in God's hands because blah, 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 and all of this other stuff. No, you haven't given me any discipline. You feel me? When people say shit like people just, they went off the deep end, it was just, they discipline led to that. Their the continual decisions they made about specific choices is what led them here. That's what that's everybody. You feel me? And I watch how a lot of people, when it comes to, your religions, when you come to your education systems, when you come to all these things, like you hold on to something so much that you are disciplined to choosing it, whether it's good for you or bad for you, whether it's even helping you or not. It's like, yo, you're making the choice to stay in this situation. I ain't got nothing to do with that. You feel me? Because of the reward. When I talk to people who, they're disciplined enough in following, the religion that they follow for the reward or the punishment. That's why I be making the statement when people say, I'm like, yo, you don't believe in God, you fear hell, and you hope for heaven. So you're disciplined enough to quote unquote behave this way, right? But you're really not. You're really not a good person on the inside. You're not going either way. Like when people say, okay, the deity knows my heart. Okay, you're right. They know your heart. And from your heart, right? From your heart come your actions. And your actions are how you're disciplined. Your discipline is what? How well you can decide on specific choices. How you continually decide on making specific choices. Oh, because you decide to go to church. Oh, but think about the other things that you do on a regular basis that you make the decision to. You feel me? Talk down on your kids, gossip. Like you make a decision to do these things. That's the heart that the being knows. You feel what I'm saying? My brothers, we are stuck in a space where because we have to fight, I'm tying this back, way back, but because we have to fight for our respect, we can only we can only find discipline in ourselves within the things that people show us will get us respect. Right now, you're seeing a real time. These are the type of black men that are approved of in the world, right? You have the religious man. He's cool. Like he's no threat. Nobody's worried about him because they understand the discipline that he has. They understand what things he's going to continually decide to do, right? That's how religion works. Religion is what it was for a reason because when you tap into the spirituality, it gets into the willpower. Your willpower is what kind of catalyzes your discipline in a way too, because with your willpower, that's where you're deciding, okay, That's how your decision is made. To decide on this specific choice is your willpower, right? So for one, I'm gonna tell you that your will is not yours, don't belong to you. Forget the fact that you create an image and likeness of the deity. I don't care. You don't follow your own will. You can't. You follow the will of the deity. So what is the will of the deity? Nobody will tell you what that will is. And because nobody will tell you what that will is, they cannot be disciplined in that religion. They cannot be disciplined in that spiritual system. I promise you. If you don't understand the will of the deity, there's no way you could be disciplined in it. This is why you get so many inconsistencies amongst people who like, oh, he ain't through with me yet. I'm still a work in progress. You shouldn't be. If you were doing what you were supposed to do and you were following it the way you were supposed to be following it, then your discipline should have been so on point that now, cause and effect, you're literally creating the life that will lead you to get to heaven. But you don't even trust that you're going to make it to heaven. The sole fact that you feel that the deity ain't done with you yet. So you know you ain't doing good enough to make it, which means that you know something is wrong. Discipline wise, you're not disciplined enough to make it to where you think you're going to make it to. As men, we get set up in those realities. At this point, the only things that garner respect are religious men. Little bit of respect. You feel me? A man who's, knows the word or he's in the book or whatever, all of the books of religion, they're like, okay, the devout man, he gets a level of respect. Not a lot, because he's also going to get a level of disrespect for being soft and, not doing certain shit. Emasculated, that's one way, as athletes, right? The discipline to be an athlete is to play the game every day. To play the game every day. And then not only play the game every day, but then play the game better than your competition. That's it. We be making it seem like it's so much harder. So now when somebody has to make the decisions, make the necessary decisions, now that's when it gets the problem. Like, for example, this ties in to Deion Sanders' situation. I've seen so much. Motherfuckers is mad. Like, yeah, he was supposed to bring him to Jackson State or whatever the case may be. And he had to make a decision based off of the actions that he wanted. This school cannot bring me a champ. I can't bring this school a championship because they don't have championship resources. This is not a shot towards the school that he left. It's not a shot towards them or to hype up the decision that he made. I'm speaking solely on discipline. Solely on discipline. The ability to continually make a choice. The ability the ability to continuously decide on a specific choice. Right? When it's about your career, the goal is money. Everybody talking about, yo, it shouldn't have been for the money. He's retired. He's this, that, and the third. I don't give a fuck. $5 million is $5 million, whether I'm retired or not. And again, it's not about the money. It's about what comes with the resources that you're using. So we, as a people, we look at the discipline to what do you have to endure, continually doing the same thing. So when they say it's not about the money, it's not nobody. No, everybody's about the reward. That's how our discipline is built. The punishment of the reward. And if you're not getting the reward, then you're validating yourself because you suffered through the punishment. That's how religion works. You suffer through the punishment right now so you can get the reward. You do shit that makes you suffer through the punishment. So I've been tested and I've been put through the ringer. It's like, no, why would you have to do that? But that's how society and the culture is made, because once your discipline is wired to doing nothing, or once your discipline is wired to you being incapable of doing certain shit or achieving certain things, like, for example, in our culture, we're taught to go to school and get a good job. Nobody's been having a conversation about our generation now is like, yo, start an entrepreneurship, get your LLC, do all that shit. But there has never been that push. You know why? Because the discipline is not there to be anything more than an employee. The ability to continually decide on a specific choice is the choice to be an employee. That's it. There's no other choice, because in making a choice, this is where it separates options and choices. And making a choice, you have to do some fundamental work to create the choice for yourself. And you have to be disciplined enough to see the choice through. That's how the future is created. Future doesn't just happen. It's literally created. Motherfuckers decide, I'm going to do this and this is going to happen. And it does. It's not magic. It's not science. It's not any of the crazy shit that we think it is. It's discipline. Continually deciding on a choice. Discipline becomes insanity when your choice doesn't produce any kind of results or does not push anything forward. That's when it becomes insanity. But until it becomes insanity because you're repeating the exact same thing, if you're learning along the way, if you're in a spiral and not a circle, you're disciplined. There's things you're going to do just by doing shit. There's things you're going to receive just by doing shit. There's things you're going to gather out of your life just by doing consistently. You feel what I'm saying? Learning advertising and marketing was one of the things that I really, really had to dive into to learn because it was in learning it, it was burning me out to try to do it on my own. To always have to make sure, like, nah, when I learned how I could just put some money on some shit, but I have to continually do certain things. The way the social media algorithms work, simple. Twitter got the best one. I ain't even gonna hold you. Twitter ads, you can literally run it to your competition. You can put their fucking hashtag name and say, hey, run it to their audience. Straight. Facebook and Instagram a little bit different because it's like, but once you build your audience up, then you can put the parameters into the advertising to say, this is the discipline that I need out of this. This is the specific decision I need for this particular outcome to do it all the time, right? And I'm gonna pay for it, right? So, for example, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna try to start bringing it all home. It's hard. When I was doing my advertising and marketing, first I was running ads, right? Let me tell how this whole story went. I was running ads at first, then iPhone did the little bullshit with the operating system where you can't track and shit, but you really still can track if you own the website. There's a lot of things that had to go into it, right? So the dismal was, okay, let me just put the money in, bam. So I knew advertising and marketing, but I still had to learn a different level, a greater level, because I had to overcome this obstacle, right? It was in the discipline of myself that I am willing to continually decide to make a choice about something if I'm going to continue to learn about it or get sharper with it. So and learning all of the advertising and everything, once Apple did their shit, I started doing what's called guerrilla marketing, right? So from there, I had multiple pages. I'm flooding the content, posting here, but it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming because what happened was I eventually had to start building 5 different audiences fresh, right? Because I had my main audience, I had Mastering the Market and Inflate with Inflation. I had So Frail, I had Hitting It Raw, I had the podcast, and then I had merch, right? I had my the clothing shit. So it's like that's 6 actually, now that I think about it. Well, no, it's 5 because the main one I just kind of, but the discipline was, all right, every day I gotta show up. This is gonna talk about a piece of discipline too, about focusing discipline. Right? Every day I gotta show up. Every day I gotta continually decide to make a choice. This is where it becomes insanity because I have to continually decide to make a choice. And the choice was to post here, post here, post here, make all this content. It's one thing to make content on social media, but it's another thing to have to make 5 different streams of content every single day that are completely unrelated. You feel what I'm saying? That gets you over time, right? So I went back in and said, you know what? I can't do this. I did it for a decent amount of months, but then I was like, I can't do this, especially if I'm going to transition into Inflate with Inflation, where it's just me dealing with that community and not the other shit. The books are done. I can't do anything else with them after they're written. The courses are done. I can't do anything. So only thing that I can do is what's viable for me right now, which is, day trading and investing, because I already do it. Now I could teach it in real time, do my one-on-ones, all this other stuff. It was special. It was amazing shit. But it was discipline. It was continually making the choice. On the outside looking in, a lot of people are looking like, yo, you're not, like, what are you doing? What do you mean what I'm doing? I'm building. But what do you, like, why aren't you buying? Why don't you buy this? Why don't you move? Like, don't count my pockets for one. And for two, because I am trying to achieve something. My discipline was so on point that the vision that I saw was I need to be an autopilot. Everything needs to be an autopilot. And I said, what way can I figure out to do that the best? Right? That's where the discipline started. So since 2016, that's when I wrote my first book, published my first book. But I was doing my reading and everything from 2000. from 25, age 25 and 26, I did a lot of the studying. Well, 24 to 26, I was doing a lot of the studying, reading all kind of books. I studied so fucking much. It was weird. But as I'm studying, I'm learning, but it got to the point of application. You have to consistently To be disciplined, you have to consistently and continually decide on a specific choice. I had to decide on these specific choices. From my first book, I wrote and said, now, how do I market this? I had to learn how to market. I had to learn how to advertise. I had to learn how to brand. I had to learn how to do so many different things, because in all of these different things, there was nuggets in them. But to get to these nuggets, I had to do the same thing over and over and over again until the next piece is revealed. Then I incorporate that and keep repeating the process. What I'm doing today, at the point that I am right now, the discipline has reached the level where I have done it so many different times that I don't think about it. Now, tying this back into the advertising, because this is what I was saying. With the Facebook advertising, social media advertising, it's all advertising, don't get me wrong. I'm going to make a post anyway. I'm going to send it to people. I know that when I make this post on, say, Thursday, from this post, Instagram is going to start off, Instagram, because I'm usually on Instagram. Instagram is going to start off by sending this post only to 10% of my audience. That's it. 10% of my audience. If they up and if they on, right? So it's going to 10. So that's how it's going to start off. So I got like 7,500 followers, 7,400, something like that. So anyway, let's just say 7,000. So that's 700 people that the post is going to be on to. Now, it's going to factor in is based off all on momentum. The first people that are going to see it are going to be people that are up and active. I make my first post usually about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Most people are asleep on their way to work, whatever. So a lot of people don't see it. So all 700 of them ain't going to see it. So the people that see it, they take that and they say, now we're going to try to run it to the next tier of 10%. Right? Now, if that first tier doesn't hit or break over 700, like the eyes don't see it, they're not going to keep pushing it. And because they're not going to keep pushing it, it falls down into the algorithm. Then I got to make another post, right? All of this is about leveraging the movement, right? So what I've done now is like, okay, I see what your discipline is. Your discipline is to put the post here. Your posting system and your ad system is the exact same. It runs the same. Only thing is now I'm paying for a spot that I otherwise probably would not have had. You dig what I'm saying? So the discipline for me to learn everything I needed to learn, how to get my web domain correct, how to get the pixels set up correctly, how to do retargeting. There's a lot of shit that has to go into the backside of this. So once I learned it all, now I know, because I had to learn what Facebook's and Instagram, what the social media marketing, I had to learn what their discipline was. What are you going to continually do, right? What are you going to continually decide to do with the choice that I make for you? Right. So my choice was, I have to get the right audience, I have to get the right content, I have to get all of this stuff, run it here. Now I need this done. So the discipline is like, now I can be disciplined because now I'm watching the metrics. Now I know that, for example, I use this and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up for real. I'm currently running a ad right now for my Hitting the Raw books, right? Right. What I did was, because I periodically do this, I reset my whole algorithm, and I want to get people that are specific, because I don't like random audiences and shit. So being that now that I transitioned back to my main page and all the other ones are shut down, now I built up a nice little bit of inertia. My algorithm, like my shit is popping. What I do now is I take the lookalike audience that is like my social media Instagram page, and then I go in and I find them. So from this audience, I just found a lookalike audience. I created one off all of the people that visit my page within 30 days, right? So within that 30-day time frame, I found the people that look like those people. So now it's like 2 million or something like that. So I take that 2 million people, right? I'm not going to reach all of them. And for the Hitting the Raw one, like I said, I'm going for plant-based ebooks and plant-based diets, because it's an ebook and it's plant-based. Simple. That's all I got to focus on. I need people that are like the people that I post on the content that I post. So I'm not around chasing everybody. My shit's defined, and I need here. Now, I need the discipline. I need social media's discipline. Okay, it's like, so I know I need traffic on my page, right? I know I need a lot. I know I need to capture this traffic, right? So I had to create certain audience pools and everything like that. So now the discipline that I'm using right? Because I understood Facebook's discipline is like, this is how y'all get the stuff to the people, right? So what I did was you got to start the ad up with what's called pixel seasoning, right? Your pixel needs to be fired off. It needs to hit your website. They need to land on your website, and you can count that data because you have to own the domain. If you own the domain's website, you can count that data. When it counts the data, it sends back to you. Now, when you're seasoning the pixel, right? This is a very dope strategy. When you're seasoning your pixel, you're getting 25, at least 25 conversions. You need at least 25 conversions to make the conversion work, right? Consistently, right? So you need 25 people to come to your landing page, different people, so they can say, these are the type of people that based off of this content will come here. All right, cool. Now we know what they're like, right? So this first one that I'm running, like I said, I'm running straight hitting it raw information to this lookalike audience that I have right now. Boom, it's going to the next one. Now I'm seasoning the pixel. I'm getting like all I need is 25 landing page views. I've already hit like my ad copy and all of the other stuff that I do is so on point now because I've been doing it so long. I know what a good ad looks like. I don't even have to think about it. You know what I'm saying? All my ads are good. So now, again, it's discipline. Like the discipline to be able to create a good ad is different. But now, when it goes down and I create the 25, I get the 25. Now I move it to solely conversions. But because the iPhone thing, the operating system, it changed. It now takes 3 days for you to get your data back. That was one thing that fucked me up before because I didn't know that it took 3 days when they made the change. So here I am thinking, yo, my shit's not working no more. No, it was just delayed 3 days. So that 3-day delay caused me to shut shit down because I'm like, I'm not about to waste 3 days on a budget, but it wasn't wasted because it was just collected later. So here's why I'm saying that. Once you cross your first 25, because you have to cross 25 in 7 days for the Instagram to come out of quote unquote, for the ad to come out of learning phase. Once it's out of learning phase, then once you get out of the learning phase, then it's like, okay, we know exactly who to go to now. There's no ifs, ands, and maybes about it. These are the behaviors that people have that click this. So we now know who to go to. From there, you have to take that 25 and then get it up to 100. 25 is just so you can get out of the learning phase. So now you can use the your pixel and you can use your conversion, but you still got to wait for 3 days after you hit the 25 to register them all. Even though it's counting 25, it may be delayed by 3 days depending on how it's going. Right? I've already hit 25 in one day. So I know I'm good. But I'm not running the ad again until next week. I'm not updating the next change. I'm talking about what it is. I'm winding down. From that point, you take that information and now you're saying, okay, I collected these 25 people. Now I know that my conversion in my pixel is now seasoned. It's like, these are the type of people that I'm looking for. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to change the ad slightly from a landing page view because landing page is general. It's like, you're going to get the people that are going to click your link and load your page. Right now, not only are you going to get the people that are going to click the link and load your page, you're going to get the people that are going to click the link and load your page that are in this audience pool. So once you get that to 100, you can make another lookalike audience. You only need 100 people to make a lookalike audience. But when you have the 100 people that are very, very close, similar, it changes its quality now rather than quantity. So you don't necessarily need 1,000, 2,000 people. You just need 100 of the same type of people that are coming from a specific audience. So once that sets up and I get everything and I have everything conversion wise, right? I now run a lookalike audience based off of the 100, and they're now running to a conversion who are like the people that click the landing page. That is autopilot. Now I never have to touch it again until it's time for me to change a retargeting ad to say, hey, this one's stale. Y'all been looking at this for a long time. I'm going to change the ad creative, right? But until that point, I don't have to do anything because I'm basing this off of the discipline of social media. This is the decision that you're going to make continually based off the choice that is here. So the choice that is here is, like I said, my entire campaign will be a landing page conversion for people that are plant-based and into ebooks that are like that are like the people on my main page who, so I don't have to fight. You feel me? I don't have to convince you, like, you're like the people that already fuck with my content as a whole. So now the people that fuck with my content, here's find these people that are into plant-based shit. Find these people that are into marketing and shit. Find these people that are into masculinity and personal development. Find these people that are into podcasting and just let the shit run. That changed my perspective of my discipline because it's like, I'm going to, at this point, be disciplined enough to keep the money in there, rather than having to make several pages that I got to do something with. The websites are set, the pages are set, all of this shit is set. I don't need multiple pages anymore. So now I'm going to be disciplined enough to say, hey, here's the choice I got to make every day for this to happen. I can't do this on my own anymore. So now I'm going to pay you to do this. Now, the dopest part about the ads that I have is I don't have to put a lot of money into my ads because of how fine tuned I got with them, because of how disciplined I was initially to learn this process. Now I know this process front and back. I can do it with my eyes closed. You feel me? But it was discipline to learn the discipline of something else. This is what we have to do when it comes to disciplining ourselves. If we're going to follow the discipline of another person, or we're going to look at, like, we have to learn their discipline. And I'm bringing this full circle back because to the homie that I was talking to was like, yo, how do you discipline yourself? You can't watch me. If you watch me, you got to learn how I discipline myself. Learn how my discipline works in order to know how you can discipline yourself like me. Don't try to copy me, but understand why. Understand how my discipline works. I am continually deciding to make a specific choice. What specific choice am I deciding to make? For my people that are in mastering the market, for my people that want to learn investing and trading, they're like, yo, how do you do it? I can only show you my discipline, right? I'm going to show you the choices that I have to continually make, that I have to continually decide on every movement. Every movement. Now, to show you that, now it's the backside. I'm gonna show you the layers. You're gonna get the pocket, the pullback, the battlefield, the upper hand, the final push, the second slide, the third time frame, changing to one color. There's a lot of things that you're gonna get that help with the discipline, that make the discipline a reality. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about. As men, we can't be disciplined until we're learned, right? Because we have to continually make a choice. We have to continually decide on a specific choice. Choices are made by information. In Frail 3, I broke down how um, the McDonald's makes the choice and gives you the option. You feel me? As people, we have the options to pick a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? But McDonald's makes the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I don't give a fuck what you want. This is what we're giving you. Take what we have. That's what it is to make a choice. You need information to be able to make choices. Now, once you make choices, now you can decide on them. Tying it in, McDonald's menu is a decision, a continual decision that is made by the people who have already made the choice for what food they're going to give. And they say, this is what we have. Because I remember, I don't know if they still got it, but I remember McDonald's used to have a Big and Tasty. That was a good ass sandwich. I used to eat that shit all the time when I was young. The Big and Tasty, I remember that comes and goes. The McRib, it comes and goes. You feel me? These are decisions that they make to affect their profitability in some way, shape, or form, but they make a decision. It's non-negotiable. Once they make it, oh, this is on the menu now. Okay, this is not on the menu. Taco Bell, I think I just seen a commercial for them. They just brought back the Mexican pizza. I didn't even know they took the bitch off, but they just brought back the Mexican pizza. You feel me? Decision. A decision follows a choice. And now when you're disciplined, you are continually making a decision about a specific choice. You have to be able to create your choices, and you have to have the intel to make the choices in order to decide. Once you learn to decide, then you can walk into being disciplined. But until then, you're just going to be somebody who's working for a reward or a punishment, working towards a reward or trying to avoid a punishment, and behaving a certain way that allows you to have either one. And don't forget to check out Cafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Cafe Clothing. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. That's the end. We done. I definitely know I didn't talk about this before in the last discipline. So if this is a repeat of discipline, it's a different discipline. So it is what it is. But that's discipline, yo. It's not it's not something that you gotta tap into. You do it or don't. You don't need prayer. You don't need rituals and shit that you got to dive deep down within your soul to say, oh, I'm disciplined now. No, you have to continually decide to make a specific choice over and over and over again. The choice to do 15 push-ups every day. All right, cool. Just do that. You know, when I was young, when I work out to muscle failure, right? And that I have more problems with consistency when I work out to muscle failure than I do when I actually take a log of what I have to do. Because when I'm disciplined enough to say every day I'm going to do 15 push-ups or 20 push-ups or whatever, you feel me? I do those push-ups and then I'm done. But then when you're working out to muscle failures, every day I have to work till my muscles don't respond anymore. Right? Some days you feel good, some days you feel bad. Some days it's shorter, some days it's longer. Because you just get in those spaces where, but it's the discipline is to make the choice to do it every time. Doesn't matter. Because how you feel about it is motivation, but what is gonna get done is discipline. Doesn't matter how you feel. Like I said, tying it back to the toothbrush thing. If you're sick in the morning, okay, if you're sick, that's different. You probably ain't even gonna get out of bed to brush your teeth. But for the most part, most people, you're not. If you take care of your teeth, you're gonna take care of your teeth. It ain't gonna be no shit like that makes you just, oh no, I'm not doing it. Nah, you're gonna take care of your motherfucking teeth. You feel me? Same with it. Like with real discipline, it's non-negotiable. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. You just fucking do it. Because you know it has to get done. And the intention is already set to there and you just set to do it and you just do it. You feel me? But when it comes to it, you got to understand, like, demystify it. Stop seeing it as a big, grandiose monster that you have to tackle and shit and go slay the dragon and you got to come back. Like, no, discipline is simple. It is continually deciding. The next episode, next podcast episode is definitely going to be options, choices, and decisions in some way, shape, or form. But it is continually deciding to make a choice. Now, here's why it's like to make a choice is not picking an option. An option's already available to you. To make a choice continually, that's different. Because you are the one that is putting the information and the resources together to make the choice. And now you have to decide on the choice that you made. You feel me? As a motherfucking entrepreneur, motherfucking with doing my marketing and my advertising, there's times I'll create a whole ad creative and not want the bitch and can't decide on keeping it. I'll be like, yo, how do I move from this, that, and the third? I'll make him like, you know what? I done spent 3 hours on this shit and I don't want it no more. It's my decision to make. That's discipline. You feel me? On the other side of that, there's things that I've created that I'm like, I'm just gonna hold on to this because I don't know if I can use it or not. Nah, fuck it. I let it go. I'm not telling everybody to do that shit. It's just something that I do. Um, if I know I'm not gonna use it at the while, it's gone. Because I don't want that what if. I don't like what ifs. I don't like what ifs. What ifs will make you dwell, or wells will say fuck it. And if it is a no well, I can recreate it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I need, oh damn, I should have kept that shit. I recreate it a different way because who knows? I might come with a fresh brain, fresh experience to make it look different. But the core of all of it is discipline. That's the true point of all of this. It's the discipline is the the ability to continually make the ability to continually decide on the same choice. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of us lack it. As men, we're not given the capacity to even be disciplined. We're taught to be reckless. We're taught to be, you know what I'm saying? Go out here, soil your royal oats. You're young. Boys will be boys, all this other shit. Discipline has escaped us for a long time. Many of us will not continually do the same shit unless it's destructive. Continually decide on the same choices that we got to create. You feel me? The world has changed, the game has changed, and we as men just have to be more disciplined. And discipline is not hard. Like, I want this to be the answer to the question. Like, if a motherfucker's ever asked, like, how do I stay disciplined? That's it. I just decide that I'm going to make a choice. You feel me? It's nothing hard. It's nothing unfathomable. It's nothing that separates me and makes me super something. Like, no. I eventually ascend to certain points in my life because of my discipline and my decision to make certain choices. But that's all it is. When people say, yo, you got here because I wasn't lucky. I ain't never been lucky a day in my life, but I made decisions. I've continually decided on things that I made, on choices that I made. It doesn't get more freer than that. I don't care if I don't make another dollar a day in my life, like the power and the freedom to be able to say I control everything around me. Literally. You feel me? Only thing I don't control is my social media shit. So if they cancel my social media, I can't run social media ads anymore, but I don't care. I'll figure it out. You feel me? Because that's what discipline is. Because now you have to make a new choice. You have to continually decide to make a choice. A lot of people don't want to make decisions because as long as they don't want to make a decision and the choice is still available, they don't have to be accountable for what comes next. Women will struggle making decisions. What do you think we should do? I don't know what you want to do. I don't know what you want to do. A lot of people don't understand why that is the case. It's a level of discipline tied into that shit. But when people can't make decisions, they're only seeing options and they've never created a choice. And therefore, they never really experienced something enough to know why a decision is important. So when you ask a woman what she wants to eat and she says, I don't know, whatever. This is why we have so many restaurants and different food choices, but they all serve the same shit. But we have, because it's like, I don't know what I want. Well, decide on what you want. See, that's the thing about a decision. When you make a decision, it's not based on what you want. It's based on what is. If I'm hungry, I'm going to make a decision to eat. Right? That's it. The decision is to eat. Now, the question is, how are you going to do it? That's where the overwhelm comes in because people, I can't make a choice. You're right, because you're not creating the choices. You're having to pick options. You feel me? When you cook a home cooked meal, you're going to eat that motherfucker. You're not gonna throw it. Whether it's nasty or bad, somehow you gonna like, especially if you learning how to cook and you gonna eat that motherfucker. You're like, I should put this in there because you made a choice. You made a choice. When you picked an option, you feel me? You got to take what comes with it. Like when you get them leaning over nasty ass fries and shit. Oh man, they played me. You can't say shit. Some motherfuckers will circle back and say, my fries is bad. I need some new fries or whatever the case may be because they whatever. But beggars can't be choosers and beggars shouldn't be choosers. That's what it is when you picking options. You're begging. You're a beggar. You can't create the shit to decide for yourself. So these things are important when you're making, when you're coming into your discipline. You got to be able to make a decision, which means also you have to trust your decision making skills. People that lack discipline, lack decision good, they have a poor disposition with themselves about the decision making. When I look at the most disciplined I've been in my life, it was in direct conjunction with me trusting myself. Absolutely not feeling anything wrong. But when I lacked discipline the most, that was when I was unsure of who I was. My decision making was off. My decision making was off, and it was like my entire capacity to decide was off because I felt like I will fuck up. But it was like, yo, you can't base an entire reality off one decision. That's another piece to it too. When you're disciplining yourself, you have it's continually deciding to make a choice. But after you make the choice and that's it, you deal with the choice and you keep moving. You deal with the decision that you made and you keep moving. You learn from it. Some people can't learn from their decisions that they make because it was their decision. There's nobody to point the finger at. There's nobody to blame. You feel me? You made a choice to get in this situation. Now, somebody putting you in a situation, that's different. That's not your decision to make. But when it's something that the decision was made for you, I'll say this and I'll wrap it up. I had a girlfriend tell me, like, when she cheated on me, she told me that she cheated because she said, you know what? You need to make the decision to stay with me or not. I can't take that away from you. I respected her so much for that shit. I was pissed off, but I respected it because I'm like, I appreciate that. You could have kept this from me. I would have never known. And you took away my decision to stay with you. That's you took my power because I'm not making a choice at this point because I don't know what choice I have to make. I'm only deciding on what's already available to me. I don't know any other side. And that's how we have to be. As men, our decision making skills have to be returned so we can get the discipline to make the necessary choices, to decide on the necessary choices to protect and to continue our futures. You feel me? I know people right now that look at me, they can't see my vision because they're like, yo, you're doing this for your great granddaughter. You ain't even got kids. You don't see that it's hard right now. I'm like, yo, I don't give a fuck about what you're dealing with, right? I have to be disciplined enough to make decisions that are going to transcend generations. I don't care about people who can't schedule, I don't care about the opinions of people who can't be disciplined for the month, who are disciplined enough to get the reward of a month. I'm disciplined enough to get the reward for 4 generations. I'm not going to see it. I don't care that I don't see it. I don't give a damn. But I know that I'm going to be disciplined enough to solidify the shit world's over. And my discipline is going to be so on point that the fruit of my discipline is going to translate into other things. So now when I need to teach my children discipline, I can be disciplined enough to do it. I now have the patience and the time to do so. I can sit with them and teach them a lesson. You feel me? I don't have to get frustrated with them because they don't get it the first time. It's like, nah, we're gonna walk and talk. It's gonna take you about a week to get this one. But daddy got a week to give you. Granddad gonna have a week to give you. Great granddad gonna have a week to give you. These are things that are gonna be important. But it takes a level of discipline. And I want my brothers to understand that discipline is not bad, it's not wrong. It's yours. That's the power of discipline because it's your choice to make. It's your choice to be disciplined. The question is, are you? But I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our sons, we're already disciplined, like I said. We're already disciplined. Just start to guide them into deciding on choices. Not options, choices. Show them how to make a choice, how to select a choice, and then show them how to definitively decide on it. That is something that they're going to have to watch you do. If you want your children to be good decision makers, they have to see you make good decisions, which means that they have to see a good disciplinarian expression from you, not beating them, not punishing them and taking their stuff, showing that you can continually decide on a specific choice. That's how they develop their discipline. And then when they develop their discipline, they're able to apply it. Our sons, if we can get them early to start applying discipline and being able to decide on specific choices, then they can understand principles. Then they can move forward and they can get back to the space that we need to be in. So they can stop saying that, oh, these men are zesty and these men just acting like the people that don't have discipline. Take that how you want. Because this is so for a conversation. Y'all ain't supposed to be listening anyway. But all in all, my brothers, that's what we got to teach our sons. Make sure our sons are able to be disciplined. Right. And that is, like I said, having the capacity to continually decide on a specific choice. And that means that they're going to have to master accountability and responsibility because they now have to know and learn fully and wholly what it's like to deal with the consequences of your actions. When you can get to that point, discipline is easy when you're able to deal with the consequences of your actions because now you realize, now you understand how to think before you act because you're like, if I do this, this is what's going to happen. Like I said, when you plan the future and you realize that it's created by the series of actions that you take, your future changes and it becomes what you need it to be. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm gonna see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.